All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Bridge to Bridge podcast. Sort of a special episode today. We've got Jim McDonald, Mike Farr, owners of 3rd Street Barbell Gym and host of 50% Facts podcast. And on top of that, we've got our youngest brother, Dan Stornaiuolo,
most handsomest
owner of CPG Security Company.
Capital Protection Group.
Let's not forget one guest, a huge tech upgrade.
Yeah.
Also counts as a guest for us because we're an emerging podcast, Bridge to Bridge, and this is quite a treat.
Next level.
This tech support here counts as a guest.
You know, like South Park does, like the Thanksgiving special or whatever. This could be like your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, for
This
sure.
could be your
Early
Thanksgiving
holiday.
This is like your the.
Simpsons Halloween.
Right. This is your guys' charity for the year, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and one of our tapping, Bridge to Bridge, I think our first dive into Sacramento. Speaking of bridges, so this checks the Richmond Bridge box for crossing over here.
I think
So
you
we're
cross
really-
the bay.
Huh?
Yeah, do you cross the Richmond from Marin to get to Sac, or do you cross
Yeah,
the
you
bay?
got to. The Richmond Bridge is probably a bridge that is crossed to get to Sac. Every time I've came to Sac,
Can't
I would
forget
say-
about the notorious
Carquinez in
capital,
Sacramento and
what
the
is it?
Bay.
Capital
The
Bridge,
point
right?
is it's a bridge on the way. We don't have to technically
Okay.
break down all the bridges.
Causeway.
Yeah.
I do feel like that's a very heated topic because I'm not this person. Our music, our cultures are very similar. I grew up here, but people say like, "Yeah, I'm from the Bay."
Yes,
Where I say I'm from Sacramento.
for
You
sure.
guys can. I mean, you guys are the hosts of the show.
Thank you,
Do
Dan.
you
That is right.
Okay, let's not.
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Do you consider Sacramento the Bay Area?
I do.
100%.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
For sure.
Because I don't.
I don't.
I consider it more the Bay than like San Jose and
Really?
some. I mean, I don't know. I feel very connected to Sacramento. Maybe it's because my little brother. I've got a bunch of friends out here, but I don't know. When I think of Sacramento, I think of it as like I think of Dom as my half brother. Sacramento's half brother to the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Dr. Dre shouted out Sacramento in California Love.
Yeah, the Sacramento, the Bay Area. Well, he does kind of differentiate the two.
He does. He does say Bay
from
Area.
Oakland to Sacktown, the Bay Area, and back down.
Ludacris
That
also
is-
does, and I have hose.
Does he?
Yeah, it's a
Does.
916. Yeah, it's a
415.
916 shout out.
Wow.
He does a 916 area
Okay.
code shout out.
I think it counts, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely does. But no, super excited to have you guys on the show. Would first love to dive in. Mike and Jim, would love to learn a little bit about you guys and starting this gym and kind of what you guys are doing up here in Sac.
Yeah. Well, about a year ago, a little over a year, maybe 2 years ago, we started chatting. Yeah, about our
Two
futures, what's going on. We had a podcast going on. Our podcast was started. We were out of a studio that Jim ran, like an office, and it functioned fine. But how do you scale? How do you grow? How do you progress? And the idea of opening a gym was thrown around. I live down here. I live downtown. We call it the grid. I know a lot of cities are grids. San Francisco's all jacked up. You're definitely not a grid. But we got a basic grid. I'm on the grid. There's no gym that I can just show up, start smashing weights. Obviously, to create content, you need some space. This studio, like you guys said, it's not as fancy as you guys are making it out to be. It's a couple lights, a couple cameras, a lot of headaches for Jim to set up. But it's actually not as crazy as you might think. Anybody can kind of build this if they want to put in the time, effort, and a little bit of cashola. But fast forward about a year, a couple members of this facility, which used to be a gym, started texting me, blowing me up, saying the space is available. And so about now, I guess exactly a year, we started negotiating our lease and trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
To not make the story too long, but basically Jim and I met in this building about 10 years ago. It was a powerlifting gym and kind of a CrossFit strength and conditioning gym. We trained together. He started our old podcast together, invited me on at age 22.
About where you're sitting right now.
Yeah, literally,
Wow.
literally first one filmed here. We had some success with that, so obviously we continued. I met your guys' little brother in this building back in the day, probably eight
2014.
years ago. Yeah.
2013.
And so there's a lot of just kind of history in the building. And so for us, yes, it was opening a gym. Yes, it was starting an apparel company. Yes, it was a space to lift weights and create content. But powerlifting, what we do, has a lot of history in general in these walls.
I look at everything you've got going here. I mean, how much does it cost to I mean, all this stuff has to cost a lot of money. You brought up, people need a little bit of money.
Yeah.
I mean, all that equipment out there. I mean, what's kind of like the startup cost for something like this?
That's a good question, because I think a lot of people ask us that. In the style of gym, like any business you do, style of podcast, like you can buy a $50 mic and start a podcast.
Right.
You buy a little host.
You can do it on your phone if you want to.
Yeah, you're in the game.
Right.
You're in the game. You
But
start
this is real deal.
So it depends on the scale, depends on what you want to do. We didn't want to kind of cut any corners with what we did. We were smart about how we strategized the equipment we purchased, the footprint of it, the functionality of it, all these things. And then we had a lot of renovations with the building itself. So we literally built the whole thing. We did the floors, painted the walls. Jim handled this whole back building was not this.
Yeah, it was a whole like rat maze back
They
there.
they gutted it from literally like I would come in and see them when I could, but literally all him, Jim, Connor, Kyle were head to toe in just dirt, mold. It was just a rat infested like hole, and they
It was
literally
pretty bad.
they literally transformed this entire place.
So most places you
top to
you
bottom.
want turnkey deal. You're not dealing with that stuff. So not only are 4 months of 10-hour day labor, but the cost involved with materials. I don't even know what that kind of cost was, but just basic gym stuff.
I know what it is, but I don't know if it scare everybody to death.
We're not going to go as far into the financials.
No, it's not a big deal. We're open. We're open.
We're
We don't-
talking
who gives a shit?
50% facts. Like you
Yeah.
said, anyone can open a
Right.
garbage gym and spend a couple grand.
Right. So
Yeah.
you start to go all in. You're talking six figures, low
Yeah.
six figures. Plus,
Wow.
if you're trying to get other people to do the little renovations you want, luckily Jim's super handy. I'm handy. I don't even know what to call Jim. Jim's got talent. Like he's like a carpenter. I'm handy. You give me a screwdriver, tell me to go do some stuff. I go do some stuff. I can handle all that. But he's like coming up with concepts, and he built all the wood out there that you guys might have seen. He did all that stuff. So that's like a level up. If you're hiring people for that, 400K maybe, and I'm just throwing that out there. But we got estimates on to do the floor, and it's 10, 20, 25 grand. We just did it ourselves. We rented the tools, and so we definitely saved money.
Yeah, we are in the process of putting in a new door access control system.
Oh wow!
And the initial estimate on that was 11 grand, and we're like, no, there's no way we're spending.
So
that kind of
Jim's
money.
doing it for about $1,000.
Yeah,
You know what I
well,
mean? So
about $1,700. Yeah. But,
Wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Jim kind of if you had background in carpentry or trades or anything like that.
No,
or is that
I'm just
some-
like longtime homeowner. That's.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a part of the age where the do-it-yourself.
Yeah, I
age.
did. I grew up as my dad was a big do-it-yourselfer. Although he was a mechanic, he wasn't a carpenter at all. But he would kind of try to do whatever, and I just I think I benefited greatly from how-to books and YouTube. And a lot of what's out there is pretty simple. It's just the issue of just doing it. It's like, I'm going to buy this stuff and I'm going to, whatever the fuck it looks like when it's done, that's what it is. And it, for the most part, it's come out pretty well. So
I will say the trades industry out here in Sacramento is very interesting. And, living in Los Angeles and then having a house here that I got years ago, 2 different markets in the trades. And here, the stuff they throw out, I mean, I was trying to work on fixing a fence, and this guy's like, 10 grand. I'm like, it's not real. What you're saying to me is not real. Like 10,000, I'm building a stadium. You know what I mean? Now, Dan would say I have a little, altered sense of what the cost is, but it's crazy because you get stuff thrown out as far as price and stuff, and there's no limit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but doing it yourself probably, I mean, I know it's kind of cliche, but have more attachment to the place and
For
really
sure.
like have pride in what you
for
build.
Sure. And my background is in business. I have an MBA and stuff, and I got into media for whatever reason. I don't know. Somewhere along the line, I got interested enough in picking up a camera and shooting stuff, and then was early to the podcast game, I guess. Our first podcast started before Serial. Everybody's heard of Serial. It sort of revolutionized podcasting and made it possible to make money in podcasting. And so I always wanted to do something like that. I knew that there was a way to connect to the audience better than what we were doing just with YouTube. And pulled Mike in because, I mean, that personality,
Look at him.
right? I mean, look at him. Yeah.
Guy's like a sunflower, man.
Yeah, he's got mad podcast squabbles.
He does.
I could talk a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and he's
Guy sure
like,
loves to talk.
is the comfort, you know? He's like he flows really well with people in conversation. It's like this is the guy I need. He's also like I want to be in social media. I want
He's
to be
marketable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
You're not so
Not
silent.
the look.
You're
Not
not
the
so
look.
silent for being silent, Mike.
Yeah.
Silent killer. That's
Seriously.
why.
You
Silent
probably
killer.
you get that so much. You're probably always just like,
Yeah, it's dumb. It's
"Why are
it's
you
low
even
hanging
called
fruit.
Silent,
It's
Mike?"
low hanging fruit.
Dan, what was your first interaction with Mike and Jim? I mean, I'm curious to see.
I don't
You
even
live with
remember.
him now,
Unfortunately,
and you're doing work with a lot of these guys. I'm curious to see kind of your first time meeting
I
them.
met Jim before I met Mike because Jim was in this gym. I mean, he was like when,
Jim was in the
back
gym.
when him and his
Yeah.
son. Well, him and his son used to do when it was Super Training Gym. They did photography and video for the gym, and like. I'll know. Like I always used to get mad because I like never was featured in any of this stuff.
you got to do
And
something
then,
to earn it,
like,
you know.
well, no. Finally, one time, Jim reached out to me, like, well, you know what? I always like saw you. I always saw you. I always like we always kind of like, what's up, type of thing. But like, you had sent me like a clip of me once, and I was just so juiced. I showed like all my friends, I was like, look, I'm in this video.
I remember.
I was so
Juiced.
juiced that he sent me like a clip of me in one of the videos, and like I was just like, dude, this is awesome. Like that's when honestly I kind of like fell in love with like
Me? Is that what-
well, no, I just got comfortable like being on camera and be like, cause like you know like I got dragged into a lot of the bits when we were doing stuff, and like I don't know, I'm comfortable like being on camera and being around it and like being on stuff and like. Then Mike was lifting here,
Looking
as
for
well as-
shelter.
Talking shit.
Yeah.
No, quite
didn't talk a
honestly,
lot of
like
shit.
because when I first started
I'm the
lifting,
nice guy.
when I first started lifting, like when I came in here, there were guys that were doing like it was not for me. First of all, Marcus invited me into here, and it just wasn't for me. I was used to being around, kind of being the strongest guy.
In this super training gym.
Yeah.
So that was located in this gym.
Yes.
Right.
That's why we all met here.
Um,
The one section when you first walked in by the desk, that was
Yeah.
super training, and then the other side was a gym called Midtown Strength.
But I was so used to being like the strongest guy, the best athlete, this and this. I come in here, there's guys like literally. This was when you guys don't know what this is, but like geared lifting was a thing. Geared lifting is a sort of an assisted style of lifting that allows you to have more weight. And
There's think of overalls made of very tight denim with sleeves, and you squat or you bench in them, and they allow you to handle more weight than you could without
Yeah.
them. And that was the sport of powerlifting at
Yeah.
the time.
It's very technical, honestly.
But
You could screw it up and
Mike-
not
This is
lift anything at all.
pre-slingshot.
yeah.
Yeah. So this was it kind of started in 80s, 90s, early
Yeah.
2000s, but it was for sure the only form of powerlifting from like 2000 into 2010-ish, and then it kind of went a revolution, and now guys just kind of lift like we do, a belt,
Yeah.
maybe some sleeves.
And I met Mike, just kind of took me under his wing and became my like coach, per se.
Mentor.
Like he was my mentor, my friend.
Eh.
I mean, yeah, we kind of recently became friends, but he took me under his wing, and that's when like I kind of like started to escalate and really start to like focus into like training and fitness and stuff like that.
I remember watching because I was following your Instagram because you guys have been friends for a while, and I was watching the gym building as COVID is folding out, and I'm thinking to myself like, man,
What are these guys doing?
that is just tough. Like, well, it's just tough starting a business in general for COVID,
Yep.
no matter what. And then a gym, you know, how was that like for you guys in the process of building, getting ready to open, and meanwhile you got this thing hanging over your head of uncertainty?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of things. It's a really big building. It's like 6,000 square foot, and typically the path of any gym is you're either a trainer at a gym and you gather a bunch of clients and a bunch of popularity, and then you kind of open a small space and then you scale up, or you get a bunch of investors and you're just I'm gonna be the Target of or the Walmart of fitness, and you open this huge thing, but you got investors, you got all this cash watching your back. We did none of that. We've been in the fitness space for a very long time, so just even opening a space this big, COVID, non-COVID, is a little nerve-wracking. He's got an MBA. I'm a college dropout, but I think I've helped a lot of companies with marketing and business. I'm familiar with making money or helping other people make money. So we had a lot of confidence in that, but no one, even at the time we were doing it, because we were started before COVID, and then COVID kind of hit. We kind of took a pause on it. We're thinking to ourselves, talking a little bit, but not a lot, thinking to ourselves, talking a little bit, not thinking a lot, not knowing what to do. And it definitely threw some ripples. But as soon as we got the keys and we kind of said, like, all right, let's go. We got the keys in June 2020. So you're still kind of in the thick of things. We knew the space itself needed so much work that it kind of gave us like a, oh, shit.
Kick in the ass.
Well, we got, oh, shit, we got a lot to do. But maybe we can wait. Yeah, we can kind of wait out COVID a little bit.
Right.
And COVID's still kind of a thing. So it's definitely a bit of juggling, but we started another company with it. Basically, we started a full apparel line, kind of like elevated athletic gear, and so we knew that online business, which is what we're more familiar with, would kind of allow us to live a little bit, and so that's where we are now, and we feel pretty good. We've been open physically for about 3 months, and opened online clothing like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Was that part of the original plan, apparel, or was that something that tweaked?
No, that was part of the original plan. I think that I wouldn't have tried to open a gym this size without a companion business.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, you get reach out from vendors and stuff, and they think that you're just putting out a T-shirt with your gym's name on it, and that's not what we're doing. And so we've never intended to do. And Mike has really, taken the lead on that and done a really great job, I think, so far of producing something that's also cool. These are this hoodie I'm wearing. It's all cut and sew. It's nobody has exactly this thing, and putting our logo on it is cool. But the coolest part is that the quality.
Customization.
Yeah, for sure. But so back to the question, I wouldn't have done just a gym this size. No way, especially going into COVID. And we had some runway in the lease, and being able to get equipment really ate a lot of our runway, like literally all of our runway. Honestly, it took months and months to get the equipment that's out there because everyone was buying equipment for their home gyms because they couldn't go to a regular gym because everything was shut down. I like to think that we are well positioned to take advantage of the world after when we get there. And we have momentum at the moment. I'm kind of happy with the amount of momentum that we have considering. I would love to be in a better spot, and I know we would have been had we not had a pandemic, but like that it's a condition that hits everybody. And I think that we've been lucky because we thought about it as we were doing it, and we haven't risked the way that you would think that we would have, I guess, is the way to say it. I mean, we've mitigated our risk in this process.
Running a gym like this and having people lift and represent your gym, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that goes on probably that not a lot of people see. Training all day long, working out to prepare for meets. One of the things that I've found when I've listened to other podcasts that talk about UFC and training is the use of steroids in some of these gyms that that exist in the world. I mean, is that something that's real? And do you guys, it is obviously real, but do you see that as something that, hey, we want to prevent from happening in this gym, or is it something that you understand as a part of the business of training?
Yeah.
And
I like that you're going for the jugular with this one, dude. Let's dig in.
No, I'm just curious. Like,
you're 100%. I played basketball like you growing up, and so like that's the furthest thing that's ever crossed my mind, right? Like in the history that I've watched the NBA, which is a very long time, there's been one dude I know got popped. And not saying guys don't take it, who knows, right? A lot of behind the closed doors with every sport. I step into this world at 22. Think about like not playing varsity basketball, and now you're starting Kentucky point guard. That's what my powerlifting career was like. I was at the worst and most normal commercial gym, squatting 500 pounds. Lead trainer, everyone thought I was dope. I'm that 8th grader that hit puberty early, and then boom, I'm in the big leagues with powerlifting. And so it was a shock to me at age 22 what was going on. I never chose that route.
Right.
That is something that is part of the culture. We don't promote it. I don't condone it. I've never told anyone to do it. I've never told anyone not to do it. People ask me questions about it daily for the last decade.
Yeah, I see it.
And I just say, not for me, and that's it. And that's all I can do, right? As a responsible, I think that moral compass I have to walk, being a content creator, that's all I got. Because maybe you have a condition and you need it, or I don't know. There's a million factors. I don't know. I don't really care. It's not my business. And so I think, even though we've never really discussed it as a business, That's where we sit. I'm not going to put posters out everywhere like 24-Hour Fitness and say
24.
no syringes in here, because I don't think that's going to stop. No one's ever had a needle in their butt, looked at a sign and said, oh, no needles in my butt, and pulled it out. Right? That's never happened.
It's like
Yeah, 24-Hour Fitness puts up literally signs.
yeah,
everywhere.
They also have a sign that says due to recent thefts, and the same sign has been up since the late 90s when
Yeah.
I first got my 24-hour fitness membership.
We've never discussed it, and Jim can tell me to F off if I say anything wrong here as a business partner, but my take is we're definitely not going to condone it. If I see any sketchy business in terms of like sales or something, I'm going to address it. What you do on your own time is what you do on your own time. If you don't bring it in here and if you don't negatively affect our community or someone else here, I don't care. We have a sign when you walk in. I don't care if you love each other. I don't even care if you like each other. But once you're in these four walls, you're going to respect each other.
Yeah.
And I think that those rules alone can take us from politics to religion to steroids to, hey, man, you stole my barbell. Yeah. And we fixed that all with that statement.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. I think that I know when I first got involved in powerlifting, like I said, I was older when I got involved in powerlifting, and it was the geared era, and it geared more than one way. It was like it was all very hardcore. Take as much drugs as you possibly can, and everybody looked like a fucking rock lobster, man. There were, that extra red blood cells that are just, everybody's just super red all the time. Yeah. And I saw a lot of people, let's say age faster than they would have otherwise. And they put a tremendous amount of stress on their bodies, and they didn't last in the sport, or they kept doing it in their 50s and 60s or whatever, and they looked terrible. And their health is not great. And I mean, I was in a fucking movie about steroids, so I can say this. There are side effects. There are absolutely side effects. And there are going to be people who walk in here who are definitely on stuff, and we're going to know. And then there are people who are probably in pretty good shape who use a little bit of stuff to, fill out a little bit and whatever. And I'm not going to say anything about that either. Just don't do it on our house. I guess that's really what Mike was saying. Don't do it in our house, and don't sell shit here. Don't try to develop connections here. Don't push anything here. Yeah. Just coexist, get along, and that's it.
I mean, ultimately, if someone gets caught, you guys are held responsible, right?
Yeah, I don't know the legality of it, but I assume if there's some kind of sale going on,
I would
in
want
the
to
building.
avoid that.
Yeah, I imagine, but
I wouldn't take responsibility for that.
Yeah, for sure. But and again, if it's not happening under your nose, what am I supposed to do? And I consider myself an honest human, and so if it gets to some legality, I'll be as honest as I can.
Yeah, I will say that there are gyms that are like that do
for sure
that are
that's the
creating
MO.
liability.
Well,
for
that's the MO of a lot of places.
Yeah,
I'm a trainer, but I'm actually a steroid dealer.
Yeah. It's a super complicated issue, and we're now getting into an age more where institutions or businesses seem to get more of the responsibility than the individual.
Sure.
And kind of like, and I don't like, people don't like comparing certain stuff to different stuff because everyone has some, different viewpoints and experience. But college is a very competitive place. And it's very well known in a lot of competitive Ivy League colleges that Adderall is frequently used to stay,
Focus.
up on your grades and all that stuff. And Adderall's a Schedule II drug that has severe side effects, if abused or taken too much. And so, I don't like making the comparisons because people say, oh, you're trying to compare this, but at the end of the day, I think that's a
good rule.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of strings can be drawn there. A PED is a PED. A steroid is a certain thing, but performance-enhancing drug, and if it's against the rules or if you're taking it illegally because you don't have a prescription, is the same thing. Another line is competitive gaming, which has gotten really, really popular during COVID. Yeah. And a lot of dudes are
hacking.
Well, no, slamming Adderall.
Yeah.
Slamming Adderall. Same idea, right? Your focus is up, your attention span's up, your energy's up. Probably even lifting. I mean, all of them are performance enhancing. And then which ones are legal or not? Caffeine, performance enhancing drug. It just happens to be legal.
Yeah. I think the education has gotten better, I'm sure, since the heyday of, and I think ultimately, educating folks on kind of what risks are in that is one of the most effective things, you know, because it's like, hey, ultimately people are going to make their own decision, right? You can put the signs up, but educating them to understand, like, all right, you're squatting 1,000 today, but tomorrow what's going on, you know, is something that
Well, I think it's very stereotypical of, like, I mean, in anything in sports, in gyms, I mean, people automatically assume, like, oh, you go to the gym, you must be on steroids, you know, like it's I think that stereotype, and same thing with sports. When you see someone escalate, the first assumption automatically is, oh,
he's on steroids.
They're on steroids. They're on performance enhancement drugs. They're on something. But in reality, like as we were talking about earlier, I mean, there's people that are just absolute freaks.
Oh yeah.
And like I when I first got into powerlifting, I was already a naturally like stronger person. Like I was, like I said, I mean, when I first met Mike, I was squatting 600 pounds. I was deadlifting 600 pounds. I was bench pressing like maybe 320 pounds.
225.
Whatever. But ultimately, like there are people that are
big,
naturally gifted and big
strong.
and
big,
strong.
big
like,
doggies.
I mean, look at, you know, we're Bo Jackson, absolute animal freak of a nature of a person. I mean, granted, we don't know if he was ever on some performance enhancement drug.
He
but
says
never,
no.
Yeah,
but
no
Did
one
you
ever
feel
knows.
did you feel the pressure too when you were playing football or
Like playing sports? Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I
Or
was
lifting?
around. I know I was around people. I mean, I think we've all in athletics and any sort of sport, like, you know, when you were playing high school ball or when we were playing college ball and when you were playing, I mean, just everything is, you're around athletes and you kind of look like, you know, like for instance, we would always have summer or spring break, and you know, you'd leave for winter break, and then I don't know, Jimmy Joe comes back next in the spring, and he's
All jacked up.
all of a sudden he's 30 pounds bigger,
2 hat
and
sizes bigger.
and he's got 2 hat sizes, and his biceps grew 6 inches, and you ask him, hey, what happened? Oh, I just ate a lot over the break, you know.
See that? I was never around that. Like basketball.
I was,
Yeah,
dude.
but football's so different. Basketball,
Yeah.
not a single person even
Yeah.
talked about it,
You
thought
take
about
a
it.
little creatine.
I lifted weights.
Jack 3D. I don't
Even
know if that's even around anymore.
We're the
but-
same age, I think.
Yeah, 31.
Yeah, 32.
Right.
Like dudes weren't even lifting weights.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan
I
lifted
didn't.
weights in 1996.
I'm not
I
gonna
was in
lie.
I was in high school in 2003. But lifting weights wasn't cool yet. NBA
Yeah.
teams did not have strength and conditioning programs when I started high school.
I hated lifting weights up until like I got into college. I hated
Me
it.
Yeah,
too.
but that's football culture. My point is just the cultures are so different. Basketball, there's no PEDs because and it would help people. Everyone, that's the argument against it too. PED is going to help anyone.
Yeah.
If you're already good and you're going to get stronger, you're only going to get better. And not to promote it by any means, but you know what I mean. Like it helps all sports.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't
no.
I don't judge the athletes that did it before it was outlawed in their sport.
Sure.
Once it's
Me
outlawed
neither.
in your sport, then you need to
Yeah, that's it.
you need to clean up at that point. But before that, it's like, you know, Barry Bonds, I don't give a shit. I never gave a shit, really,
The GOAT.
honestly.
Me neither.
I just saw this is crazy. You know the tonal, that mirror
Yeah.
gym thing that they tried to get us to do. They wanted us to sponsor the podcast back in, I don't know, a year or so ago.
Must be nice.
But the problem is that it's a
Put a
big
decade of work first, all right, kid?
Put some work in.
It's a big thing. It's a big thing to have in your house or wherever, and we just didn't have, either one of us didn't have a place to put it. But Barry Bonds, like today on his Instagram, said that he'd been using it for a year. Like, well, he's not big anymore. He's
Yeah.
probably not on anything anymore.
Paid sponsorship?
Paid sponsorship.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. He's just money talks.
I think it was always sort of a thing.
Well, how much money does Barry Bonds need at this point? Though is my question.
You could say that about anybody. That's a whole new discussion.
Yeah.
I don't want to take over your podcast, but
Yeah.
because
No.
everyone brings up that comment with everything. Shaquille O'Neal's still working.
Mayweather. I mean, that guy still says retires and comes
It's
out
not
of
about
retirement.
money. There's something going on up here that keeps
Yeah.
you going.
Yeah.
That's
think
well
so,
beyond
yeah,
moolah.
Yeah, it's definitely not a. I think there's as much relevance and kind of dedication to whatever they want to do, or whether it's being in the spotlight or still
Yeah.
being involved or
Yeah.
contributing. At that point, has to supersede
For sure.
the financial.
Well, and even the financials, you get a jet, one trip costs you $100,000 in gas. You want to keep this lifestyle up somehow.
Yeah. Well, here, you know what? There's an interesting interesting thing, and to talk about how you get accustomed to wealth or better things. And I used the example of a hotel. when we're younger, right, and you're kind of like, you know, I remember not having any money, and you stay at your first like hotel, and it's, you know, it's the Motel 8 or it's the and when you're younger, you're independent. You're like, do you see this room I got? Got the little coffee machine. Like, I'm set, right?
Satellite.
Then you upgrade. Maybe you start working. You upgrade to your nicer hotel, and maybe now it's still a chain hotel, but it's the higher end. And you're like, you see how I'm living right now? Like, look at this spot that I have. Then you stay at your first 4-star, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, then you get used to that. Then you get a 5-star your first time you stay at like the luxury hotel, and you're like,
That's a good example.
You're like, this is amazing. Now the thought of staying at that Motel 8, you're like, whoa, time out. I don't stay at that.
I can't stay anywhere else.
And you got to
That's
think
a good analogy.
for the folks that make the highest level of money, for them, a hotel room is a hotel.
Yeah.
It's got 4 rooms. It's got a piano. It's got maybe, you know, a chef there.
Yeah.
But it's just a hotel.
Yeah.
Just like me and you stay at a hotel, and they get accustomed to it. And there's always that next level up. I mean, Vegas is a place that makes you feel poor no matter what, because they put you if you're Mayweather in Vegas, they sit you next to you know, the oil baron from Saudi, and then he goes like, how many bottles? 50? Like, come on, my man, 100. And then you go, all right, I got to fight again, dude. Like, I'm not going to get outed by this guy. I'm fighting again.
Yeah.
Call Connor. We're doing the fight.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, right now or pre-COVID, you saw a lot of different types of gyms opening up. You had Rumble with the boxing, and you had Orange Theory. You know, what have you guys done to kind of differentiate yourself in this, you know, large sea of different gyms and businesses?
That's a good question. I think you double down on what you know. So our background's strength and conditioning and powerlifting. The barbell. We like the barbell, and we like the strength train. And if you're a barbell or strength training enthusiast, the only places you used to be able to lift up until now that we're here are rat-infested, dirty, gross bathrooms, gross platforms, literally garages with oil everywhere. And so we want to take that concept and elevate it and match it with our city. We love Sacramento. Jim's lived here nearly his whole life, adult life. I've lived here basically my whole life, 25 years. And the culture that's come about our city, food, coffee, you know, bikes
Beer.
everywhere, breweries, all that has gone absolutely bananas the last 5 years. And I love it. I moved down here. Me and Dom have talked off air about investments and just how beautiful the city is. And so we want to take that kind of general concept and how do we apply that to what we love to do? Because our places are rusty barbells, any bumpers you can get, any plates, anybody's in the door. The place is gross. There's cobwebs everywhere. How do we take that, still have an edge to us? We want you to feel a little intimidated coming in here. We don't want you to feel like you're floating on a cloud, because we're here to work. We're here to get better, and we only want those type of people here. We're not I don't want to bash any chains out there because you guys are going to get sponsored soon. But Orange Theory or whatever. We're not AC
Different
cooled.
brand,
Yeah, we're not
Your own
AC
brand.
cooled.
You're a boutique.
We're boutique within our niche.
Yeah.
On the brand, your guys' gym seeing it, and I'm sure, you know, for our listeners, kind of like the old school Sac warehouse vibe with the old truss roof, wooden, open, really reflects the community. And I know Dan, our brother, who started Capital Protection Group, and also has partnered with some folks. What was that group you partnered with to hand out the food for the charity work?
Well, it's just a local brand here, but primarily I partnered with Mike and a couple others, and we got together and did a little.
But what was the name of that group?
It was called the People of Sacramento.
Yeah. So and Dan, like, it seems you guys have done an
Similar
incredible
approach.
job building the community into your brand, and I think that's something that older businesses kind of like, hey, I'm in Sacramento and our brand is this, and it doesn't match, and your guys's, you know, brand and company really seems to reflect Sacramento. Dan, yours does as well. What are your guys? Obviously, that's intentional.
Yeah.
But can you talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit?
early conversations we had too were, like we mentioned, like some kind of apparel that we want to go with. And Jim, lucky enough, trusted me just because I've been into basketball. You're into sneakers. Since third grade. Been into sneakers. I've been into clothes. That
You're
culture.
a fashionista.
I'm like, I mean, I got a rat tail in my hair. You know, like I'm
His nickname
That's
Mugatu.
That's not. I don't know if that's true.
No, it's
That's like a side tail.
it's a
It's the
Padawan
Anakin
braid.
tail.
It's a
Side tail.
Padawan braid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still learning. One day I'll be a Jedi.
Yeah.
So I don't
You are
even know
a
where I was
Jedi.
going. So the
You are a
clothing.
Jedi.
Soon you'll look like a Yoda.
Whoa, dude. Wise, cute.
Yeah, wise
Put me in your
and
back
cute.
pocket.
The goat.
It's a lot of loss.
Yeah,
of
the
muscle
greatest
mass.
Jedi
That
of all
wasn't
time.
a diss. That was
Yeah.
he'd be the all masterful.
He's just not very nice to look at, I guess.
That's true. He does look like a raisin.
Well,
Yeah, he looks like a green raisin.
Oh no, dude! He gets a lot of cute points on the Mandalorian, dude.
Yeah,
Everything's
those
Maybe
Yeah.
you're the baby.
Cute babies.
Maybe you're
Cute
baby
babies.
Yoda.
Your baby
Yeah.
Yoda.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I
Yeah.
interrupted.
So built-in was the apparel, and how do we kind of elevate that? And then the gym, and how do we elevate that? But both of us, again, we love the city. We love the culture about it. And if you've been to some of the coffee shops here, it kind of has a similar aesthetic to us. But community events were number one. I'm not a big drinker. We both like our beers and our whiskeys, and we enjoy like the craft of it. But it's not like we're going out getting hammered and all that. And although I love some aspect of that because we have great breweries here, I don't love that as an activity. So we're like, all right, we got this sick parking lot, this big space, pre-COVID talk. How do we build community that's beyond just meatheads? It's beyond the size of your biceps, and it's
Yeah.
beyond booze.
How are you welcoming to other people?
Yeah.
Anybody, right? And so your brothers have been integral in that in the beginning. We're already planning our second event to try to do a clothing drive and help out some of the community here and the homeless here. And so how do we stop putting the mirror on us? Everyone's always looking in this mirror, how to have me, my company, my this, and start to make it about Sacramento. Not only do we love it, but the people, and how do you make it more an actual community? Communities are lost. And we found our community online, and we're lucky through podcasts and YouTube and in the niche of powerlifting. We've really found that online, but how do we bring that back in person? And I'm guilty of it as everyone else. I don't know my neighbors' names. I'm a little antisocial. The name Silent Mike is because I am a little shy, and I'm not, despite being outgoing with content,
Everything.
this is my
anytime
job.
you talk.
This is my job. This is my job. But like Dan knows, when I'm at home, I'm just sitting down by myself. I literally go to my bed and hide.
You're from Sacramento, Jim. Are you from Sacramento originally
No,
too?
I'm actually from the sort of upper Central Valley. Sort
Okay.
of Manteca, Stockton area.
I was going to ask here the political stuff. Growing up in Sacramento, is that something that Sacramento natives kind of like? That's the capital, like, or I mean, obviously, it's a huge part of the city. Is it something that identifies like, yeah, we are the capital and we are a political town with a lot of stuff going on?
That's a good question. I was born in Portland. Lived in Seattle a little bit. I moved here when I was like 6 or something. I don't even know. But I grew up, I guess, in like one suburb out. So grew up 10 minutes out or so, 15 minutes out. And as a kid downtown, because we didn't have the food, the basketball arena wasn't down here, we didn't have the culture, we just never came down here. For me, it was like, yeah, that's the capital, kind of like you said. And obviously I was a kid, so it's a little bit younger. Who's really paying attention when you're 10 to what's going on? But even from my parents' point of view, and they're semi-political, they would just kind of say, yeah, that's the capital, that's what's going on. Now living down here and being down here, especially in the current state of our world, there's been a lot. I literally drive by the Capitol to get to the gym, to get to home every day, and you notice, whether it be a protest, whether it be a rally, whether it be pre-COVID, you'd see the politicians walking around. We've had some assembly members come to the gym and chat with us, become members.
Yeah.
Any lifting?
Yeah, they're lifters.
Dude, I would love to see like a power clean competition amongst the Senate and Assembly.
I don't want to put my horse in the race, but our assembly member's going to win. He's a CrossFitter.
Yeah,
he
he's
lifts.
really good.
Wow.
He's going to crush folks. Even though our buddy too, he's not an assembly member by any means, but he works in the Capitol. He's strong.
The guy that got the
That's him. That's the assembly member. But I was thinking Ryan Spence.
Oh, Ryan Spence.
Yeah, who
And
works.
is a member here.
Yeah, he's a member.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's in this gym actually historically kind of has that past. The old owner, our friend Tara Getty, she worked as a lobbyist, and so when she opened a gym, a lot of that crowd she already knew and came here. So a lot of our friends or members kind of work in that spectrum. But it's not as toxic as like you would think.
Yeah.
It's not toxic at all. Actually, we've had zero issues.
I remember a spot we used to go to, Mix, that Dan worked at, and the whole concept around Mix was politicians, business people,
Athletes.
younger people mixing together.
Well, I think what Mike and Jim haven't really like mentioned as well, their motto, which you see on their shirts, is good company.
It's
And
just
I think-
genuine.
I think like I remember when I first read that, I was just like, whoa, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's like the motto of good company is because like we've all been going to gyms our whole life. We know walk into a gym, it's just selfish pricks that have their headphones on and are
mean mugging you,
and they're off in the corner, and you're just you're getting like Mike and Jim and Kyle and Connor, they're talking about community nights and having people in here to I don't know, watch a movie or just it brings a sense of like we've all been a part of something before, and it feels good. Like for instance, like we all played a sport, we all were a part of something. It feels great to be a part of something, and not just, all right, like Mike made it a point of like, we always talk about all the time, like, you know, being up early in the morning. He's like, you know, I like being there because it gives a sense of like when someone
Structure.
walks in, they can get like a, hey man, what's up? Like, how you doing? Not just like a beep, see you later. I'm off, kind of just, you know, fucking off and doing my own thing. Like, I think that the sense of community and the sense of like being a part of something, which is good, you know, good company, I think really implements such a, like, man, I want to go to the gym because it gives me that sense of like, okay,
Belonging.
I'm going to belong to a environment that's like, you know, if I need help or if I have a question or if I want to talk about my stressful day or whatever the fuck it is.
But I thought about the mix too, like you were talking about. Jim came up with the slogan company, but I thought similar things. I was like, all right, like we're going to get some 18-year-old meathead that wants to deadlift 800 pounds, but I know we're going to get some politicians, maybe some pro athletes. Our buddy trains here, Joe, who
Some
trains.
females.
Yeah, they all train business, pro baseball players everywhere. We got a bunch of nurses. We have a bunch of lobbyists.
Yeah.
We have. I love that. I love that. I love networking, and I know that's something. Whether I don't know if you guys like it, but I know this family's really good at it, and I like to get beyond that. Like, how can I help other people help other people? I don't need a pat on the back like, hey, Dom, I knew this guy, dude. He's a really good kid. He wants to become a fireman. Let me introduce you real quick.
Yeah.
And I get nothing from that, but I know you know the industry, and I know this is a good kid. And how can I play that? And so this gym kind of allows for some of that too, which is fun.
I like too the sign I saw at the front desk, which says, you know, everyone comes here from a different background, and we will respect each other. And if you look at the state of national politics, even state, the polarization is bigger than it's ever been, and it's the most radical and the most radical. And it's basically like, hey, you associate with this political group, we don't talk.
Yeah.
But I think that's really needed right now. Of hey, getting back to the old concept of, hey, we can disagree violently on issues, but there's a mutual respect. We're going to talk about it intelligently. We're going to debate it. And, you know, it's great to see something like that when you walk into a business to kind of get that out there, because right now it feels like so many places it's like, all right, I walk into a business and I see some wearing a shirt I don't like F this whole, you know, F everyone. And so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's probably the thing that COVID has impacted the most is not being able to have events and have people come in who are, because we have a 24-hour tier, and so there are people who come in that we don't even see that much, and they're not meeting other members really, and so we have to communicate that sense of good company just from everything else we do. But as soon as we can have events and stuff, I think it's going to make a big difference, and people can get along at these events because we've said, like, don't bring that in with you. Like,
we
whatever,
don't care what you do, where you are, where you're from.
Who you voted for.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Whatever that mindset is, you need to leave it at the door and get past it for right now. Because, like, what's the future if we're just become more and more divided? Like what's the path forward with that?
Well, it's not logical. Everyone just focuses. We're all a lot more alike than we're not. And our beliefs are a lot more alike than they're not. But everyone wants to focus on that 10%.
Because of social media, man.
Well, all of it. Yeah, you get your own.
There's so many.
You get you in your own
factors.
zone. But we all agree that maybe you should use your blinker when you turn. And so that's a rule. Right? That's easy. No one's arguing about that. But when you get into these other topics and people fight it, and I understand you're passionate and you're all allowed to have your own beliefs, but we're focusing on this 5%. Let's just pay a little bit more attention. Not all of it, but a little more attention than 90% that makes us the same.
I always thought if you did, you know, they do the surveys and the polls and stuff, and you asked about every religious belief, political stance on, like, the hottest day. If you took the hottest day of the year, you did this poll, and then you just said, hey, do you have AC? No. Okay, you're in this category. Yes. Those people are going to have a lot of stuff in common, especially on that day, because it's like when you don't have AC on the hottest day of the year, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And really, we fight over these issues that we don't even really experience in our real life. I believe if you go on a plane trip to Chicago, this is the way you're supposed to do it. Well, are you going anytime soon? No, but I believe very strongly about this, you know. And so
That's America.
it's just we do have a lot in common, and that's a good philosophy, and I think it's awesome.
Do you guys feel that the state and the city of Sacramento have been helpful in starting the business and you know, being able to kind
That's a
of?
good question too.
That's a really good question.
I would say no.
I mean, you listen to Rogan and he hates
Yeah,
California.
I think it's just kind of trendy to hate California. I love
Me
it,
too.
and there's a reason why
Me
it's
too.
expensive.
I'm
There's a
with you,
reason
bro.
why it's there. you're paying pretty tax, and I'm down for that. I love my city. I love trees. I love not having to de-ice my car every morning. Not that there's not snow in California, but point being, there's a reason people move here.
Yeah.
And even though all these quote-unquote people are leaving, the state's still growing in population. Look up your stats, all these people that are on Twitter backing all this shit up. Joe Rogan can do whatever he wants. You could probably get a little bit more land for your money if you move elsewhere. That's absolutely fine. I'm not trying to raise cattle. To your own point, though, I don't think they help you a lot. And I've never ran a lot of businesses. Most have been online, so I've never ran a brick and mortar in another state. I don't know if they're actually helpful. It is very hard to get information. It's very hard to get a hold of somebody, and they're not super willing to go out of their way to help you.
Not only information, but accurate information.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
get different stories, especially with COVID stuff.
But you can find it though if you
can
research enough.
Yeah, you could get anything done. But I mean, I could probably do heart surgery if I really wanted to, but based on online, right? That's the beauty of the internet.
I mean, here we are, and you're open, and it's a beautiful place.
Right. You can do anything, and we got it done. Do they charge you probably a little bit too much for what they give you? Yes, and that's kind of my issue. But beyond that, again, I love my city and I make it happen. That's that 3% that I'll ignore for the rest of the beauty that I get to go. I work close to home. The sun's shining. The people here are great, and we can build more positives on it. You can't build this gym in Alaska. Ain't nobody coming. It's too cold, right?
Yeah.
So there's benefits too.
I would say that business licensing is not a big problem in Sacramento. It's pretty.
For me, it was.
Yeah, curious
Well,
to get your thoughts after.
For us, it was not a big deal.
Yeah.
We don't have the kind of constraints that you do.
Right.
And I can tell you that when we applied for our state sales tax license, they screwed up and didn't send us the information right away. And I called, and somebody walked me through it and said, "Here, let me send you this code, whatever."
Really?
Super nice. Yeah. But I mean, this is probably somebody who's now working at home because this happened during the COVID.
Yeah.
And so maybe their level of stress is a little bit lower.
Sure.
But
Tell me.
Well, I've always heard, is it hard to get a seller's permit?
No.
It depends on what you're doing, right?
Well, it depends
'Cause
on what you're doing. But
you're open a security company, a little bit different. If we wanted to open a pot store, probably a little different. An alcohol license.
Just depends on what it is.
Yeah, and ours is kind of the base level of
Yeah.
things we're trying to do. And yeah, it wasn't. We didn't have to jump walls to do it, but you're
No.
not getting answers. The rules, and I know COVID's complicated for everyone. Data's constantly changing, but to get some answers on that, yeah, it hasn't been easy.
Yeah, it's I think going back to that, you find smaller towns where they're dying for business and they're going to show up and be
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
I actually live out of your place until you get the license. I walk you through, and then it's just here. Hey, there's people that, everyone wants to start a business, and so they're more just trying to hey, I can push some back and still be flooded with stuff. So it's a balance, and like you said, I'm sure you can move to a different state and get a different experience, but you're not going to have that customer base.
Right.
Dan, what's it been like for you with CPG and the security business?
I'm not going to name the specific department, but
Get them, dude.
it was very hard, very, very hard. Granted, I'm in a side of business that is obviously a little bit more from a liability standpoint. It's a little bit more serious per se. As far as people can get injured or killed or whatever, you know what I mean. My process took me about a year and some change to just attain my license to own a private security company. Unfortunately, the department is extremely small and it handles the entire state of California. Unfortunately, it is one individual that handles the full state. So if you mess up on one I or T or anything, I'm very blessed because I do live in Sacramento. That department is in our backyard, which I'm very thankful for, because if I had lived in Los Angeles or San Diego or Bakersfield or
Would've taken a long time.
even what is it? Humboldt.
We're just naming California
Yeah,
states
yeah.
now.
I'm just saying.
Weed, California.
Chowchilla.
If I had lived
Ojai.
500 miles away,
Eurekas, Reddings.
I'm able to go literally 10 minutes away, go to the department and say, hey, what happened? Why? When? Who? What do I have to do? Whereas others actually don't have that benefit in my field. They have to
Imagine
wait.
Dan showing up at the office. Hey, I'm looking for some answers. You're like, excuse me, can I get someone from the back?
That's probably why they said, "Oh yeah, that's the only one that can help you."
Well,
Send
just
to the
like,
person they didn't
you
want to
know,
talk
Taking
to.
up the whole doorway. Like, hey, what's going on
We
here?
got a couple. We had a bunch of bumps in the road. We had a couple deficiency letters because of I don't know. Like I said, a dot wasn't a T wasn't crossed, whatever. But eventually, I obviously got it, and I started my business. The process started about 2.5 years ago, but I officially launched my first kind of like employed contract, like kind of going January of 2020. So about 2-3 months prior to COVID starting.
Proud of you, man.
Yeah. Are any of you guys using crypto in payments yet?
No, but I'm open to it.
No, you're not.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Jim said, "Nah, we're not."
Unlike me.
I'm in it though.
But yeah, we got started in January of 2020, and it has been a roller coaster for sure.
Rocky Road.
It's been hard. I've been, when I say addicted to my craft, I'm very addicted to creating perfection for myself and not only my company, and just having that support base. Like I recently, like I moved in with Mike a couple months ago. And just being around like-minded individuals as well has really improved I'm able to actually bounce even stuff off of Mike all the time.
Yeah, I should be charging rent and consulting fees at this point.
And for being on the podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
the Stornaiuolos
Yeah.
owe you money.
I'm
dude.
gonna retire at this point.
Yeah, it's just I have a very great partner as well who helped me through this process, and we've got currently I've got I think 12 employees, some full-time, some part-time.
Doing commercial and residential
Commercial,
and business.
residential, restaurant, bars, and just kind of growing, man. We hit 1 year in last month,
10 minutes.
and it's
Woo!
Well, I think Dan starting in the bar space, and you guys are in the gym space, right? But watching both of your companies and talking to you guys more, you're looking forward, which I think is huge because
You're not stuck.
I remember Dan, we were talking one time about like, well, hey, the bars are on hold, and so I just got to wait for this. And, Dan, we're both realizing like bars may not come back as we know it. Gyms, the way we know packed gyms may not come back as we know it. But as you guys are showing here with the gym and Dan with his company,
Clothing,
that there's
yeah.
always a need for innovation. People are always going to have fitness, apparel, podcasting, and using those and building it into your brand, I think, is going to obviously propel both your guys' companies far forward versus folks who are just sitting there
Waiting
kinda
for the
like,
government.
I'm waiting to get 140 people back in my gym. The capacity's 170, and if I can get those memberships, oh man, I'm going to be, trust me, we're going to be rolling it, and no one's like stopping saying, hey, that might not happen. I mean, we don't know where things are going to go.
It's so easy to focus on your issues and count your issues and throw a little pity party. It's difficult to find out solutions. And if everyone was a solution or a problem solver, everyone would be successful. And sadly, not everyone is.
Well, like Mike tells me all the time, like when we do talk, like he's like, Dan, like, if running a business was easy, everyone would do it. It is hard fucking work. It is really hard work.
And everybody kind of thinks they can until they get into it. It's like that. Everybody thinks they have a plan until they get punched in the face. It's like it's that kind of thing. And going back to something that Mike was saying earlier, like, I have an MBA and I have a concentration in marketing, but marketing is one of those things that you don't really need an education for. You just have to have a sense of it. A lot of people think they have a sense of it, and they don't. Mike does, and that's why we're business partners.
Well, I think as well too, like even education in general. Like I'm going to be honest with, I didn't finish college.
Oh man.
Oh no.
Oh
No,
man.
I don't. I'm just saying.
Oh damn.
You don't have your degree, Dan?
I'm talking about myself.
I know.
You don't have your degree, Dan?
No, I didn't finish
No,
college.
dude, he's like
When did
three,
that
he's
happen?
like 3 units
I didn't even
short.
notice.
He's literally
I knew
three.
that was-
Did you ask me to go to? Wait, question. Did you ask me to go to your graduation?
You went to a staging. Of
Folge-
my-
Crazy.
Okay.
I went to a
This is why I
graduation
did not
party.
go to his graduation. I said he ain't even got his diploma yet. Plus,
Yeah.
I was living in SoCal.
I did not.
I was hanging out with Mike at a graduation party.
Dan had a graduation.
damn.
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there.
Sick.
But what
But
were we
He's
celebrating?
literally 3
Well,
units
the
short.
point that I was
Oh, sorry,
getting
sorry.
to.
He's gonna get fired from his job now.
He can't. He's the CEO. He's the boss. I'm the night commandant. You're looking at it. I'm
the point
security.
that I was getting to. I mean, I just think that like education, non-education, whatever that may be, like I think learning new things from just your peers and learning things from, just anyone that's in business, your friends, your family, that's one of the biggest resources you could possibly have. You know what I mean? Like I just, I don't think that anyone needs, a master's degree in freaking, gym, fitness, arts, whatever the hell that might be.
Give me 10 hungry brokers from the city college.
I mean, yeah, I just think, it takes a good group of people. It takes knowledge in that craft. It takes hard work, and essentially, the sky's the limit. I mean, this phrase, like I said, the sky's the limit for anybody. It just is a matter of, how much you put into it, what you put into it, and if you fold under pressure. If you fold under pressure, it's probably not going to work for you.
They teach you a lot of stuff at school, but I would say innovation. I never took anything necessarily in school that was like, hey, here's how you innovate. Anything short of a writing class. Everything was like teaching you how stuff works, but you got to innovate.
Or memorization.
Think about it.
That's
Like
what our education
all of
system
us
is.
went to school at some point or another. What in school did I didn't learn about taxes. I didn't learn about what forms I needed to I'm not saying the education system is flawed. I don't want to get into this, but like, I'm not saying that the education system is
I think you do want to get into it because
just
you just
whatever.
did.
I think that there's a lot of stuff like
You
getting
don't
into
learn.
business.
Maybe a CPG
I
university
did not
here.
learn any of this. I went to school and I did not learn probably 80% of the stuff.
How to
that
do
I
your
have-
taxes, how to
everything.
pay your
How to
bills
do your
on
taxes, how to pay your bills, about insurance, about liability, about all these things that you have to accumulate and know as a business owner. Why is this taught in school? I mean,
I think
it
it's
is.
deeper than that. It's like critical thinking, problem solving.
Yeah.
I was pretty lucky because I went to a weird school where they try to teach you those things.
Charter school.
They
Hogwarts.
just threw a bunch of balls.
Damn,
in
he
the
went to
room and-
Hogwarts?
Yeah, I went to Hogwarts.
did go
Oh
to
my God,
I
I
did.
knew
Yeah,
that's where the hairpiece
Mike
came
went to
from.
I'm a wizard, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a wizard.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah, you learn Latin and then just.
I'm a wizard, Harry.
No. Hagrid's not a wizard, bro.
Isn't he a wizard?
He's
No,
totally-
he's just
he's
no.
giant.
He is a wizard.
He is a
Yeah,
wizard.
he's a
I don't
wizard.
think
Yeah,
Hagrid's
he's
a
done-
wizard.
That's how he says it. He goes, "I'm a wizard,
No,
Harry."
he
No,
is a wizard, dude.
I know, but
wizard.
isn't that quote, "You're a wizard, Harry"?
No. I thought he says, "I'm a wizard, Harry."
I thought Spider.
Is it?
But Hagrid is a wizard.
I don't know if Hagrid's
think I
a
need
wizard.
to-
Hagrid's a
He's
wizard.
He's done a spell
Yeah, he
before.
does. He has done.
So
spells.
He
you do
puts
one
the
spell,
tail-
you're a wizard?
Hagrid is not a wizard. He got expelled from Hogwarts before he became one.
Look, bro, he's a
But he
dropout.
has magical powers,
Yeah,
though,
he-
right?
No, doing a spell doesn't make you a wizard.
Spells for magic, but not really.
But he puts the tail on Harry's
But Harry
stepbrother.
Potter was a wizard before he went to Hogwarts.
I could change
right?
the oil
Oh,
in my car. Am I a
so
mechanic?
wizard's the qualification.
Yes, it says Hagrid attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in 1940.
Okay.
And was sorted into the Gryffindor house.
Okay, so you went to school. You went to college, but you're not a collegiate graduate.
Correct.
So then maybe it's not.
I think this kind of brings things together here because Hagrid, who didn't get
50%
his
fa-
education at Hogwarts,
True.
was very capable. Was
Well,
very
He taught
critical.
PE basically.
He got it in the
Yeah,
streets,
he
man.
was-
He's basically a PE teacher.
So how does he perform magic if he's not a wizard?
He's a
so does
wizard.
Harry, but he's not a graduating wizard.
Yeah, he's not a graduate wizard, which, as we learned from this conversation, doesn't make or break you.
Maybe not.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Well, look, guys, I think we could probably talk forever on this matter, but
About Hagrid? Absolutely.
Dan, CPG, really glad to have you on the show. Would love for you to shout out your socials.
You can find my company at Capital Protection Group on Instagram, and that's capital with an A. And you can find myself at Stormcloud415.
And Mike and Jim, they're hosts of the 50% Facts podcast. If you want to hear more of them, definitely go check them out. If you're living in the Sacramento area, we strongly suggest for you to come check out their gym. Mike and Jim, you guys want to give out your socials?
Yeah, I am at the Jim McD on all the social medias. The podcast is 50% Facts. Percent is a word. 50's numbers. Third Street Barbell also on Instagram. That's third with a 3. And come see us in Sac. We are literally across the freeway from the Giants AAA club, the River Cats. You can see the light standards from our back porch. So come see us.
Mikey, any last words?
You can find me at Diet Caramel on Instagram if you want to follow me.
Is it that?
You can DM me. I'm also single. I own a security company.
He's on Bumble.
I own a security company, Diet Caramel Security. I'll take care of all your goodies.
All right, dude.
No, but what's really yours?
Style of Mike. If you Google that, you'll find me wherever: YouTube, Instagram, Twitch.
Mike's got a full YouTube channel. He's a gamer. He's a
Follow me on TikTok if you want to see my renegade.
yeah.
Follow him on Twitch, all right? He's a good Twitcher.
We're hanging out.
He loves doing the security girl butt pose. So
If it gets the likes, I'll do it.
thanks everybody
Very
for
good.
tuning in.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, boys.